Despite concerns surrounding former President Donald Trump's track record of pressuring U.S. allies, a veteran diplomat says that there are still key opportunities for South Korea and the U.S. to collaborate effectively on global issues. Our Soo-young tells us more.
With the return of former US President Donald Trump to the Oval Office next year, Seoul and Washington have the chance to reinforce their alliance based on America's global leadership and South Korea's strengths and capabilities. That's according to veteran diplomat and Professor Ahn Ho-young, former ambassador to the United States. Amid concerns Trump will revive his transactional and confrontational approach to alliances, and says Seoul and Washington have more reasons to work together to face an increasingly complex regional and global security environment.
And in that case, I think there is a lot we could be working together between Korea and United States. For example, we have to remember that when it comes to conventional weapons, we are fifth largest power in the world. President-elect Trump talked about defense industry capabilities of Korea. So he talked about, say, naval vessels, U.S. naval vessels, which need something called MRO service from Korea. That is to say, maintenance, repair service from Korea. That, in fact, is something we've been talking about for a long, long time. But at the same time, I was very positively impressed that President Trump, in fact, understands about it, why we need cooperation in that area as well.
Also, as countries brace for fresh tariffs and trade wars under a second Trump administration, Ahn said the US would benefit more from economic cooperation with South Korea, as Trump tries to ramp up business growth and household income for Americans. He noted that South Korea was the largest foreign investor in the United States last year.
So we have to fight inflation, and we have to fight slow economic growth. And again, I think Korea has a lot to offer. Why? Because we have world-class manufacturing capability, and we have world-class research capacity. And we, in fact, can work very closely with the United States for that, in order to fight inflation, in order to promote economic growth. I think the last thing we need for that would be high tariffs. High tariffs would be adding to inflation. High tariffs would be discouraging economic growth. So I very much hope that that issue could be worked out between Korea and United States.
Turning to security matters, Ahn raised the need for Seoul and Washington to coordinate their approach to North Korea as the regime's threat to global security increases. Having served as ambassador to Washington during the early months of Trump's first term, Ahn said the US leader's two-pronged strategy during his first term, maximum pressure and maximum diplomacy, can complement Seoul's current approach to the North.
Today, that in fact is something we need. Maximum pressure and maximum diplomacy, but at the same time, there should be a third element, which is deterrence. Deterrence is definitely more important than at the time. Why? Because North Korea has more nuclear weapons. North Korea has more missiles. And North Korea is now, colluding between North Korea and Russia.
Amid growing polarization in international relations and the rise of authoritarianism, Ahn said Seoul and Washington should turn these challenges into opportunities.
Then I think there are many avenues of efforts we should be making, like bilateral relationship, trilateral relationship, multilateral relationship. And one thing we must not forget is something called Global South. Global South. The countries in the Global South. And they, in fact, are watching. They, in fact, are watching what United States stands for and what countries like Russia and China stands for. And I think it will be very important for us, who in fact believe in rule-based international order, to let people in the Global South understand we are not just for ourselves.
During their first phone conversation last week, President Yoon Suk-yeol agreed to meet soon with the incoming US leader to discuss bilateral issues in more detail. Observers hope the meeting will take place within the coming weeks before Trump takes the oath of office again on January 20th. Soo-young, Arirang News.